Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we're really excited today because we're trying something new. It's going to be super fun. We are ranking the the rom-com directors, and we're going to be doing a tier ranking, which will be really fun. So I would recommend watching this on the YouTube so you can see the tier, but it'll still be good for the audio as well for audio listeners. But anyway, it's something kind of fun that we're going to be doing. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and Scott Meslow's here.
Hey, everybody.
We had to have you here because you literally wrote the book on rom-coms.
I'm thrilled to be here. I have a lot of opinions you'll be shocked to hear. So,
Yes, yes. And our ranking queen is here with us as well, Terry.
Hi.
Yes. Was this fun for you to take on ranking these?
Yeah, it's a
These
little
directors?
hard,
Yeah.
as I didn't know where to go. So I might change at the last minute some of my,
Yeah.
views on it.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
I'm
these
unsure.
people are all extremely talented. They've made
Yeah.
movies. This is all just in fun. And what I had to do, so when I was creating this list, and I'll try to put a link or something so people can see the list in it with 32 directors. And I had my criteria be that they had to have made at least 3 rom-coms. And I did use a pretty loose definition of rom-com. So some ones that we've debated, like A Breakfast at Tiffany's or Legally Blonde or things we've debated. I did include those. And the big surprise, for me at least, was that I only found, including classic and contemporary for feature films, I only found 3 female directors who have made 3 or more rom-coms.
Wow.
Which really surprised me. And it was interesting because my friend Cody on his channel, he did the same thing. So I got the idea for horror directors, and he only had 2 female directors in his ranking. And so I thought, oh, rom-coms will have way more. We have 3. So it's kind of does that surprise you at all, Scott?
I mean, as usual, blame Hollywood.
Yeah.
I wish I could say when I was reporting from Hollywood with Love that I learned there was a bunch of really great secret positive facts on this front. But yeah, no, Hollywood is the creature you expect it to be more often than
Yeah,
not.
I know, it's interesting. But did that surprise you at all, Terry?
It did. Because
Yeah.
in my mind, I thought there would be more. But when you really think about it, I'm like, no, because
Yeah.
there's only so many Nora Ephrons or Nancy Meyers out
Yeah.
there, that we
Yep.
talk about a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. There's 3 that have 2. The Lane May has 2, The Heartbreak Kid and A New Leaf. And she's only made 5 movies, so I mean,
Right.
but Anne Fletcher, she has 2, The Proposal and 27 Dresses, and then Gina Prince Blythewood has 2 with Beyond the Lights and Love and Basketball. And again, using I don't know if you'd consider Beyond the Lights a rom-com, but whatever.
Yeah.
But
We're going to play fast and loose today.
yes, that's right. Ho, ho, ho. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/hallmarkies. Our tiers are, we have lifelong love, engaged, first date, crush, and ex.
Okay.
And we have 32 that we're going to be putting into the tiers. And so hopefully won't have too many X's.
Just one for me, I think.
Yeah. So, all right, let's dive in. Let's do it. So we have, of course, we're starting with the Queen. We have Nora Ephron. She directed You've Got Mail, Julie and Julia, and Sleepless in Seattle, among other films. She does have her clunkers. I'm a bit of a defender of Bewitched. A lot of people like that. I have fun with that movie.
Moments.
Yes, but still, so many great ones. What do you think, Scott?
I don't think there's a lot of suspense here. I think anyone watching this, anyone doing this, she's going to be a lifelong love, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Agreed. Okay. So then we have Nancy Meyers. Get both of our queens out of the way. I do think that Nancy Meyers is a tiny bit overrated. But The Parent Trap, it's complicated. The Holiday, amazing, wonderful, love them. I just don't love The Intern. I hate What Women Want so much. So I might be inclined to put her in Engaged, but I'll go with the crowd and stick her on Lifelong Love. What do you think, Scott?
I would say Lifelong Love.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention Something's Gotta Give, which is my personal favorite of the whole year. And just like, just such a filmmaker at a time when it was super hostile to the kind of wants to make her movies that literally have always made money, have literally always found an audience, for an audience that didn't really have much else happening at that level in Hollywood. I think you gotta, even just for that, you gotta give it up.
Do you agree, Terry?
I do. She has enough that I would put that I enjoy where I'd put her up in Lifelong Love. Yeah. Okay. Don't like everything, but she's definitely made her mark.
There's no question about that, for sure. And those three that I mentioned, I do love, especially The Parent Trap and her, Father of the Bride. She didn't direct those, but I love them. So.
Yeah, it all counts.
All right. Next week, I think it's going to get a little more interesting. So we have Judd Apatow is next. So he has Knocked Up, This Is 40, and Trainwreck. And what do you think, Terry, about Judd Apatow?
Oh boy, I'm going to put him in X. I just can't. I don't hate all his movies, but I've never walked away thinking I'm going to rewatch those, or I'm going to run out to watch a film of his. It just doesn't jive completely. But I can't say that all his films are terrible, because they're enjoyable in the moment, some of them, but I pass, not for me.
What do you think, Scott?
He's definitely not a lifelong love. I'd bump him up higher than that. I would also, again, the one we didn't talk about is 40-Year-Old Virgin, which I think even just for historical importance in terms of sort of broadening in that era what a rom-com could be in audiences' minds in terms of broadening the audience. You can argue that was a good or a bad thing, because to some degree that diluted some of the more interesting things happening in the genre. But I think his heart's in the right place. I like that he's very unapologetic that these movies are rom-coms. Some directors like that sort of obfuscate a little bit and act like, I just made a comedy. And no, he's very clear that he likes romantic comedies. He wants these stories to be romantic. I admire that. So in our tier, he doesn't quite fit into my tiers, but I'm gonna say for me it's a First Date.
I feel like I'm like in between you two. I feel like let's put him. I like Knocked Up. I really hate This Is 40 so much. Trainwreck is pretty fun. They managed to get a good performance out of LeBron James, of all people.
Very good performance. He was very funny in the movie.
Yes. These kind of really masculine versions of rom-coms aren't my favorite, but I think
that's a good compromise.
Crush. Okay, so then next we have Donald Petrie, Miss Congeniality, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, and Little Italy. So Scott, what do you think?
I'm a fan. I'm also biased because he gave me my working definition of rom-coms in the book. And so I thought about this so much and I tried to explain it a million ways. And he had this very simple formula he gave me that was totally helpful and transformative. So I also My first controversial opinion I'll drop: Miss Congeniality, not a rom-com. I will also share that he agrees with me. So for what it's worth, I think for our purposes, it's fine to put it there. But if we're going to look at him as a rom-com director, I really do. I think How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is such a fun, fizzy movie of that era, really representative of what, at least sizzling chemistry can do for a movie like that. I will put him at Engaged, but it's close. And that might, I can see where that would be a little high for people who didn't have him as a source in their book.
What do you think, Terry?
Well, I do love grumpy old men, but that's not a rom-com.
He says it is.
Yeah.
Well, I could.
What?
Maybe
I know.
More than
think of it what you
Is it
want.
rom-com?
Miscongeniality isn't.
Well, there is such a thing as sometimes I walk away going, "This is a rom-com about friendship," so it might be on that level of of a love between friendships. So for that alone, even though that doesn't really qualify, I'm going to put like a first date for me. I don't like everything, but I think he's a good filmmaker, and I forgot he did Mystic Pizza, which I do love, which is a very important movie for me growing up because we didn't have any Portuguese representation growing up. And then we saw this movie and nothing's Portuguese. Nobody's Portuguese in that movie, but it still mattered to us. So, the extras were, I'm sorry, the extras were.
Right.
I'm still wondering where's that good pizza from Portugal, but whatever.
Well, I really did hate Little Italy so much. That was a terrible movie, but these other ones are really good. So I agree. First Date, I think, is good for him. Okay, so then Gary Marshall, we have Pretty Woman, Valentine's Day, and The Princess Diaries. Now, I think that Pretty Woman is really good. I think it holds up very much as a modern day fairy tale. I really enjoy it. Great chemistry. The Princess Diaries, also kind of a modern day fairy tale. Valentine's Day was certainly better than Mother's Day, which was bad. But it wasn't great. So First Date? I don't know. What do you think, Scott?
That sounds about right. I feel like I might be waiting too much for historical importance as I'm weighing these, but Pretty Woman is so important. The highest grossing rom-com of all time in its era, launching Julia Roberts. Like, I just feel like there is no story of the American romantic comedy where that's not like a central movie. Even if you're stretching back to the dawn of romantic comedies, like that is a pillar of where the genre evolved.
Yeah.
I am not a big fan of any of his holiday rom-coms. I would say across the board, those are not for me. As much as I love seeing, 800 celebrities show up for 3 minutes.
Yeah, New Year's too. That was so bad.
Oh yeah, they're all there.
So much.
I'm almost happy he had that because I feel like you have to kind of grandfather in. Like I'm glad he had kind of an interesting project in his later career that, basically calling in every favor and always getting Hector Elizondo in there. Like there's something kind of charming about it, even though as movies I find them unwatchable.
Yeah, and I'm not in the camp that thinks The Princess Diaries 2 is underrated, or I feel like I see that all over Twitter and I'm like, I know, insane.
I have to admit I haven't revisited it, but Chris Pine, it's a charming guy. I can picture it.
But Terry, where are you at on Gary Marshall? What do you think?
Well, I'll forever love him for Overboard. Which it's a crazy plot.
I love Overboard.
In today's standards. Crazy plot in today's standards, but
it's true.
I'll forever love him for that. So Engaged. And he brought us Pretty Women, however you feel about it today, because I know there's a lot of people revisiting it with their ideas, but it's important. He made some genuinely good contributions.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen them holiday themed movies, but I have no memory of it. So I can't.
I think First Date. Do we agree? Is that good?
Yeah, totally.
That's good for him. Okay. All right. So then Will Gluck, we have Anyone But You recently, Easy A, and Friends with Benefits. I know Easy A is a stretch, but whatever. Friends with Benefits, which I actually like, and a lot of people really don't like. Anyone But You, I didn't love. I liked things about it, but I thought that Sydney Sweeney was terrible. She just kind of ruined it for me. But it's interesting. What do you think, Scott, about Will Gluck?
I feel like you've got to if you're looking for a torchbearer of like what a modern hit rom-com can look like in 2024, he's kind of your guy. You know, he seems to be the one who's cracked the formula. I mean, those 3 movies, those are 3 hits at a time, you know, each made at a time when rom-coms were not really being treated as the toast of the box office. Anyone but you might have single-handedly revived the genre again for studios. I mean, certainly all eyes were on the legs on that movie, like how it, you know.
Yeah.
So
I'm so happy it did so well.
Exactly. So even if I would agree that it's not my favorite, but I think for the health of the genre, it is hugely important. And so, yeah, I guess I'd put him at first date. I'm not quite willing to say we should get engaged. Let's see him make one more really good rom-com, but I'll throw him in the, you know, he's got my attention.
What do you think? What do you think, Terry?
I would put him on first date as well. I mean, if this makes any sense, I think Anyone But You was an enjoyably bad movie.
Sure. Totally.
You know, and there was a lot I enjoyed of it. I agree with you on Sydney Sweeney. I don't get her. I don't know why everybody loves her. I mean, I know why everybody loves her, but I'm not going to admit it. But, you know, I think that, he did, like, that movie made money, so let's hope there's more that go out in the theaters, because we have a ton on streaming, but theatrical runs, you know, this is what it's going to look like forward. So definitely.
Okay. So then we have Ken Kwapis, who did Beautician and the Beast. All hail Beautician and the Beast. Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And He's Just Not That Into You. All movies that I really love. And it might be a hot take, but I'm a huge Fran Drescher fan. I love Fran. I love The Nanny. It's basically The Nanny in movie form. So I'm probably higher on Ken than most people would be. I love Sister of the Traveling Pants, which is like surprisingly intense. I watched it again last year, and I was like, wow, this is like deep. And of course, it gave us Sister of the Traveling Pants gave us Michael Rady, so all Hallmark should be happy about that. He was Costas, and I actually like He's Just Not Into You. I think that about, you know, what are there, like 10 different love stories? I think about
another
8
one of those
of
Love
them
Actually types
are pretty good. There's the Scarlett Johansson and Bradley Cooper, terrible. You know, there's some bad ones, but for the most part, I actually do enjoy it. But what do you think, Terry, about these 3?
Well, I have enjoyed his rom-coms. I'll forever love Beautician and the Beast. And he seems to be just working in television now.
It's so funny.
You know, so he doesn't get much of a chance to direct a feature. He's like banished to television. But I would put him in first date. You know, he's there, but I wish he would get like another chance to try again. You know, because he's directing all these TV shows that people love. Maybe we should give him another chance, you know?
Yeah, I think he directed a bunch of The Office.
I
think so.
ER and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It seems like these rom-com guys, when they directors, when they stop making movies, they're banished to television. Not banished because they're still working, but you know,
that's a lucrative.
You don't get another chance,
right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Scott?
I'm going to abstain. I'm out of my depth. To my shame, I have not seen Beautician and the Beast or Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. So I'm more or less with you, and He's Just Not That Into You. I think in the, you know, the Love Actually types, it's solid. It's on the positive negative tier. It's on the positive. But yeah, I will defer.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to watch Beautician and the Beast and then report back.
Okay. I'll add it to the queue.
Okay, good. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's Susan Mallory's new book, For the Love of Summer. Ready for a story that hits you right in the feels and makes you believe in the power of friendship and resilience? Check out New York Times bestselling author Susan Mallory's For the Love of Summer. Experience Allison's roller coaster ride of life, grappling with financial troubles and emotional highs and lows, and finding unexpected allies. Unravel the intricacies of family ties, the solace of true friendship, and the unwavering spirit that propels us forward. Grab your copy of For the Love of Summer at your favorite bookstore or use the affiliate link below and discover a story that will leave you asking, what would you do? That's For the Love of Summer, available today wherever you purchase your books. Okay, so next we have Rob Reiner in, of course, When Harry Met Sally, Princess Bride, and The American President. I think you got to have Lifelong Love.
Couldn't agree more.
Those are 3 amazing movies.
Yep.
Definitely.
Most definitely.
Yep.
Okay. So then we have Andy Tennant, Sweet Home Alabama, Hitch, and Fool's Gold. Now, this is going to be interesting to hear your all take because I really enjoy Sweet Home Alabama. There's a couple things about it that really do not hold up, but I still like it. Hitch, I love. Fool's Gold, I hate. It's terrible. But I know, Scott, you're not high on Sweet Home Alabama.
It's true. This is one of my many controversial takes. That is
I agree.
Yes, I've taken my lumps for that one with readers of the book, so I apologize yet again.
I fully agreed. I fully agree with you, by the way.
Not alone. Yeah. It doesn't make me, I'm not going to throw out the baby with the bathwater. I do like Hitch. Yeah, but I don't know.
Fool's Gold is terrible. Should
Fool's Gold is not a good movie. I don't know if anyone would really defend that one.
Should we have him under Crush?
That feels closest because X is a little harsh for me. Hitch is a very good movie.
And I do like Fool's Rush In that he did.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And I have heard some people say that Ever After was a rom-com, and I'm like, no, it's not. I don't consider that a rom-com, but people have made that argument, and I walk out because, but Crush is a good place to put them.
Okay, so then we have Mark Lawrence, 2 Weeks Notice, music and lyrics, and The Rewrite. Underrated, The Rewrite, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's good.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. I like all 3 of these movies. What do you think, Terry?
Same. I would definitely, I think I'd put him under First Date. He's almost there for me, but I've enjoyed what I've seen that he's directed.
What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. We're really stretching that tier out, but he makes a rom-com. I'll go see it. Sure. He's earned my trust.
Yes.
I guess that means second date, third date,
Yeah.
However many of his movies, I'll keep going till he makes.
And a lot of people didn't like The Rewrite because Hugh Grant's character is very unlikable in it.
That's what I like about it.
But I liked it. I think
that's an interesting choice.
I agree. Okay, so then Nicholas Stoller, we have, who did Bros and 5-Year Engagement and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And I like all 3 of these movies. And so I maybe this will be our first engaged. What do you think, Scott?
I think it's right on the edge of that for me. It's close because there are things I really like about those movies and there are things I do not love about those movies. I think it can be, I might have just kind of soured a little on the let's let everyone improv for 10 minutes and we'll use the best takes, cut it together style Hollywood comedy. And there's, those movies are loaded with that.
Well, and all 3 have kind of unlikable characters.
Yeah.
Especially Bros.
That I'm not totally
which I enjoy the movie, but
which I don't mind as long as sometimes I think the movie wants my sympathies to be where they're not. Movie. So, but I'm sounding harsher than I feel on it. I think it's right on the edge of First Date or Engaged. I do like all of those movies, and I think he's a good filmmaker.
What do you think, Terry?
I would put it, for me, it's Crush, because I feel he's almost there, but he hasn't fully won me over. I really loved Bros. I did, but I wish it was a little different. It almost had me like, because I couldn't buy that those 2 would be in love like that. But I feel like I'm almost there with him. So
maybe First Date then, in between.
Yeah,
that seems fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So many first dates.
We're thinking a lot.
It'll be a busy week.
Okay. So Ivan Reitman, he has No Strings Attached, My Super Ex-Girlfriend, and Dave. I would say he's underrated in this genre. I like all 3 of those movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott?
Still a crush for me, I think. I mean, I prefer Friends with Benefits to No Strings Attached if we're going to do the dueling hookup rom-coms. I do like Dave a lot. I would still say crush. I think, especially with No Strings Attached, I always felt like I could sort of feel a little more of an older perspective on that. It felt like it was a little less of an authentic look at what a relationship like that might look like. And that always galled me a little bit.
I just think it's really funny.
It's
that's where
funny.
it wins me over, especially when he makes that period mix CD and it's like playing all over I think
there's great stuff in it, but I feel like that's more the script doing the work in the direction.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hindering the movie to me.
Yeah. Terry, what do you think?
I think I'd put him on Crush too, because as much as I love Super Ex-Girlfriend, which everybody seemed to hate at the time it came
Yeah.
out,
It's very
Big
underrated.
I do like have a love for him because of Junior and Twins, but
Mhm.
those aren't rom-coms, so I think he's like almost there for me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would
Yeah.
totally go out and see his movies because I thought, or watch his movies because I do find them entertaining for the most part.
Yeah. So Woody Allen, we're just talking about the movies, not his character as a human. We have Annie Hall, Midnight in Paris, in Manhattan. All movies I enjoy. I love Midnight in Paris. I love that movie. But yeah, I mean they're all I think really good. I feel like we got to put them pretty high. I don't know what you think, Scott.
This is where like our tier categories are really helping me out because X feels perfect. Like I used to have a lot of affection for him, and I have a very hard time feeling that way in 2024. Annie Hall, undeniable, classic, like one of the best rom-coms ever made. But my affection for him is gone, like an X that I have written off and don't want to talk to anymore. And so X is what feels comfortable for me, but I'm happy to defer to the group.
Terry, what do you think? What should we do?
This is hard too.
It is hard.
Because when people go like, what's your favorite holiday movie or Christmas? I was like, I love Radio Days. And then people like, but that was made by Woody Allen. And if you just, I mean, you could say this all you want, but you can't in some cases, like divorce the person from the art.
Especially because he's the narrator for most
yeah,
of these.
It's
literally the
kind
lead
of
character.
Yeah,
it's not like
each situation when you say that is kind of really different to go into. But I do still love a lot of his movies. And it's not really much of a struggle for me. Like I'll admit, I like them. I still enjoy them. However you feel about him as a person, because people have various opinions on him, and they take various sides. But I would still say engaged because I can still watch a movie of his and be fully immersed in it, knowing that he's a controversial figure. And I guess everybody, however everybody feels is completely okay. You have to do you. But yeah, to me, it's still engaged. I know it's tough. It's tough with him. It's tough to breach that subject
I mean,
because
especially Manhattan is tough to watch now. It's just
Oh yeah.
But it has some really funny lines. But yeah.
But in one moment, I'm like, it was the 70s, and I knew people who took their 30-year-old boyfriends to prom in the 80s. So I'm like, it was definitely an era, but not that it was okay, but I don't know. I would say engaged. It's tough. I don't know.
I don't put him at the end of First Date.
I think wherever he lands, we've all got different opinions, which makes
maybe he should be in between Crush and X, or maybe First Date and Crush.
I don't know. End of Crush.
Yeah, maybe.
It's weird to have a crush on Woody Allen.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
I think we've all made our good cases. Maybe he's off the list. Maybe he's in his own category.
No, it's tough, and it sucks because some of those movies are good, and it's not the actor's fault.
I mean, I absolutely love the whole scene in Manhattan when he's talking about that when the pedantics are talking about things are being overrated.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh,
that's overrated. Like it's such a funny scene, but yeah, what are you gonna do?
And Annie Hall is so good because she dumps him.
Yeah.
Spoilers for that movie. I'm sorry, everyone. But it's super old, but I'm sorry. But it's just so refreshing to see the couple not end up together. And she's like, I'm completely fine without you. I'll be okay. And I love that about Annie Hall.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it is harder to separate the art from the artist with Woody Allen because he is the lead actor in most of his films. Yeah. So, but okay, so then we have Cameron Crowe, Say Anything, Jerry Maguire, Elizabethtown.
Complicated.
Yes, I mean he does have clunkers as well, like Aloha.
That's a dog.
But what do you think, Scott? Where should we put Cameron Crowe?
I like Jerry Maguire a lot. I'd Say Anything, of course, iconic character, iconic scene. Yeah, you got to call him. I'm willing to go engaged. He's been doing this for a while.
Our first engaged.
That's where I would put him.
What do you think, Terry?
A lot of rom-coms there.
I would agree with engaged, even though I rarely watch any of his movies twice. But he's still putting it out there. He's still trying. And there are people who really enjoy those movies. I know somebody who defends Aloha. We won't go into it. But, they're there.
There seems to be no end to the tries that older white male directors get a chance. Like you can have failure after failure. They'll still keep giving it to you, which God bless them. So, okay. Now we have Amy Heckerling, our final woman in this thing. She has Clueless, Look Who's Talking 1 and 2, and I Could Never Be Your Woman, which I have never seen. But I do think that Look Who's Talking 1 is underrated. It's a really
fun movie.
Funny, cute little movie. And of course, Clueless is one of my all-time faves. So what do you think, Terry?
I would definitely put her in Lifelong Love just for Clueless and Look Who's Talking. Like, that movie was my everything when I was a kid. It was always on TV and I just loved it so much. And so she meant like a lot to me growing up. And then when I was a teenager, we went to go see Clueless and I was like, yes, and I would love for her to come back and do like another big splashy rom-com.
I know she's
like
done some
for a
TV,
streamer for anything. It's like, again, I don't know why she's proven herself. She's had successful films, but yet we can only give you TV.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, Clueless is a stone cold classic. It's hard to argue against it. I think for me, it's probably still engaged. Like I can't hang it on one movie, but it's I get it. That undeniable classic, perfect beginning to end.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have Billy Wilder. We got The Apartment, Sabrina, and The 7-Year Itch. And I feel like, Sabrina, I do think there's chemistry problems, but still, it's a classic, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a lifelong love for me.
Yeah, totally, completely.
Undeniable.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have Whit Stillman. He has Metropolitan, The Last Days of Disco, and Love and Friendship. And I just watched The Last Days of Disco last night and I loved it so much. It was so funny and just great. I love the characters. I love the writing. So, and I love Love and Friendship and I love Metropolitan. So I'm feeling really high right now on Whit Stillman.
How high are you putting him?
Like I at least engaged, I feel like. What do you think, Terry?
Same. It would engaged. I mean, Love and Friendship, and he's engagement to me. Like there's something about his films that just draw you in. And Metropolitan, just the way those yuppies are just like he's reviewing books he's never read, and I think they're so important at that age, and it's so true and hysterical. We've all known people like that. I mean, I would totally put him in engaged.
What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, that feels right. I think I'm glad he was on this list because he's, if you told me to name rom-com directors, I probably would have gone a while before he came to mind, but I think totally qualifies and a great filmmaker.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Okay. So Robert Luketic, and he is Legally Blonde, The Ugly Truth, and Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. And I know we have debates about Legally Blonde, but nevertheless, it's on here. I hate The Ugly Truth so much.
Yeah, I got to take some points off for that. I'm sorry.
Win a Date, I actually think is pretty cute.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Crush, even though Legally Blonde is really good.
No, I'd put him in X. I'm gonna go there. He's an X for me. I don't like Legally Blonde. I'm sorry.
Hot take.
You know,
Yeah.
I have very vivid memories of seeing that movie in the theater in California. When I was in my 20s and I hung out with 60-year-olds. Long story, but I have very vivid memories. They loved it, and I walked away going, I've never revisited it.
I actually watched that movie when I was considering going to law school, and I was taking an LSAT prep class. And so it really was just like speaking my language.
I
think it's really funny, but yeah. So where were you having him, Scott?
I think X or Crush is right. It's close. I don't dislike Legally Blonde. It's not a favorite of mine. Again, controversial, dropping it out there. Crush feels fine though.
Okay.
I would agree, yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So then we have John Hughes, 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. She's having a baby.
I love She's Having a Baby.
Yeah,
even though I heard so many people hate that movie, and I do. I'm going to give him a pass and put it Lifelong Love, because I can revisit those movies. I'm not so big on 16 Candles.
It definitely has its dated aspects.
I can't remember the other one where they're all in where they're all in detention. What is the name of that movie?
Breakfast Club.
That's it. I'm not huge on Breakfast Club, but he's got a lot of other movies that I do enjoy, and I think he definitely made a mark.
Well, I mean, he has a lot of movies that he wrote as well,
right?
Some Kind of Wonderful and things like that.
But he did something for the teen scene in the rom-com, whether you like it or not. He stood out for that. So I'd go for Lifelong for me, but Engaged is also a good spot.
Yeah, I feel like Engaged is good for him. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I'd drop him down one. Another controversial movie opinion. I'm with you, Terry. Breakfast Club, not for me.
No,
a lot of people love it. It's just, I never.
Yeah, I like Some Kind of Wonderful a lot more than Breakfast Club.
That is a good movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have Frank Capra. It Happened One Night. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. You Can't Take It With You. I don't see how you don't have him a Lifelong Love.
Another Lifelong Love.
Totally, Lifelonger.
That's a gimme.
Some of the best movies ever made.
But these are great for a reason.
Yes, they are.
This next one's going to be interesting. So we have the Farrelly Brothers. There's Something About Mary, Fever Pitch, and Shallow Hal. I actually love Fever Pitch.
Yeah,
There's Something About Mary is solid. It's funny for what it's trying to do. I hate Shallow Hal so
much.
I hate it.
Talk about it. It wasn't great at the time, but boy, a movie that has not that it's pure vinegar at this point.
Yeah.
I think that's where my hatred of Gwyneth Paltrow came from.
Fair.
Not from her performance in the movie, but just the interviews she did. Oh boy, yeah.
That's
where
really
we put it. I feel like it's hard.
They're mostly not rom-com filmmakers, and so it's sort of hard to.
X.
I'd put him in X. Yeah, I'd put him in X just for that. He's banished forever for that.
I'd bump it up a little bit, but I get it. I'm not arguing.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have Norman Jewison, Moonstruck, Only You, Best Friends. I haven't seen Best Friends, but Only You and Moonstruck.
Yeah. He's lifelong for me.
Moonstruck, another Stone Cold classic. You can't.
Yeah.
You have to. One of the best of all time.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have Howard Douche, Some Kind of Wonderful, Pretty in Pink, and My Best Friend's Girl.
Yeah, that's interesting. My Best Friend's Girl. Is that the Dane Cook one, or is there a movie I'm forgetting about?
No, it's it was the Dane Cook one.
Wow. You didn't remember that? What a late breaking strange movie choice. Oh man. That throws off my whole scheme now. Because I really do not like that movie.
No, it's not good. But I do love Some Kind of Wonderful. Pretty in Pink's
me too.
Solid.
Okay, that bumps him down to Crush for me.
Same. I'm gonna have to go same.
Okay.
I probably would have said First Date if not for that.
Okay, we'll have him be high up on that. Okay, Howard Hawks, His Girl Friday, Bringing Up Baby, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Legendary.
Lifelong for sure.
Easy.
Oh no, legendary lifelong.
Okay.
Right.
Ernst Lubitsch, The Shop Around the Corner, Ninchaka, and Meanest Man in the World.
Oh, we're so boring with all these black and white photos up top.
But yes.
But I feel like it's got to be another Lifelong Love, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Knock me down, but how do you?
I haven't seen The Meanest Man in the World, but I want to.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah,
I'm sure it's great. Okay, then we have Preston Sturgis, The Lady Eve, The Palm Beach Story, Unfaithfully Yours. I feel like another.
Yeah.
Completely, yeah.
I mean,
long stretch of black and whites there, but
great.
Man, such good movies.
Yeah, they really are.
How could you argue?
Okay. Richard Linklater, Hitman, which you two probably haven't seen. It's really good. But the Before movies and Everybody Wants Some. And the Before movies are great. And I do think especially the second one is the most rom-com-y, most banter back and forth.
Probably.
The third one definitely isn't rom-com.
No,
I don't see any of those movies as personally.
I think none of them are rom-coms.
No, I don't think of them as that way.
Yeah.
But
if
I would
we're counting.
Yeah. If I engaged, I would totally put him in engaged because
I'd say Lifelong Love. I think the Before movies are like special.
They
Like,
are great,
so
but like
good.
in my mind, I don't think of them. Oh, I guess maybe he does go in Lifelong because in my mind, I don't think of them as rom-coms, but they are such.
I agree with that, but if we're just waving that away for the purposes,
of Lifelong, totally, because they are wonderful films.
Yeah. They're so good. Okay. Then we have James L. Brooks, Broadcast News, As Good as It Gets. How Do You Know? Which we know Scott has very strong feelings on. Reese Witherspoon's best movie. I mean, wow.
I know. This is going to follow me to my grave. I'm very aware. Controversial opinion. I am a solidly lukewarm defender of that movie.
Yeah. Did you notice that, Terry, in his book when he said that How Do You Know was the best Reese Witherspoon? It really stuck out to me. I was like, "What?"
I was like, I kind of agreed. I agreed with you.
Opinion.
It is. I agreed because I like Reese Witherspoon, but I haven't been sold on her romances or her comedies or anything like that. But I agreed with you on that.
I'm just saying, look at the filmography and tell me what's better. If you don't count Legally Blonde rom-com, which I don't, what's better?
Her recent ones have been
point taken. There's a lot of points here, Rachel.
Well, the thing is that her recent ones, I think because she just went through a divorce or whatever, she's overthinking these rom-coms and she's trying to make them all like layered and everything. And they end up just being terrible. Yeah. So where do we put James L. Brooks? I mean, obviously, Broadcast News is
such a classic,
absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. Do we have him?
I would put him on Engaged, but I don't know.
I think Engaged.
We've
got so many lifelong loves, it's even I, the avowed How Do You Know lover, am willing to say that maybe it's not the best movie of all time.
All right. Then we have Malcolm D. Lee, and he did both of the Best Man movies and Girls Trip. And I think those are all pretty good.
They're all good movies. Are underrated. Dubiously rom-coms to me again.
I mean, the Best Man movies are definitely rom-coms. Girls Trip, is a stretch. It's a friendship
that's the one that really stretches it. And even the Best Man movies are a lot.
I wanted to have one person of color on this ranking.
And you're not wrong. It's again, for our purposes, all of these directors are worthy of consideration.
Yeah. Definitely Engaged for me.
Yeah, Engaged film.
Yeah.
Those are all good.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Best Man movies are good. People should watch them.
Oh, they're really good.
Yeah.
I like the sequel better.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a Christmas movie too.
Yeah.
So Jonah Feingold, this was, admittedly a Hallmarkies podcast kind of pick because we know him and he's been on our show. And he has 3 movies, Day to New York, Xmas, and At Midnight. I enjoyed all 3 of his movies. I loved Xmas last year. And I thought it was really funny and brought in those screwball elements. And I don't know, have you gotten to see any of these at all, Scott?
I have not. I once again have to abstain, but I do want this list when we get off mic, and I will do my homework.
He gets it. He understands rom-coms, and I'm just really rooting for the guy. Have you seen any of these, Terry?
I don't think I have. I'm going to have to abstain in this one because I still haven't watched Xmas, and I was curious to see At Midnight, but I think it's disappeared from.
So annoying. Streaming. It's off of Paramount, which is
I know.
Streamers. So
I can't find it on Amazon to rent or anything like that.
Well, I'm just going to use my full discretion then and put him on Engaged because he's awesome. Okay, we're almost done. All right. So then we have Blake Edwards, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Operation Petticoat, This Happy Feeling. And I love Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's a favorite. I know it's kind of obviously as it's controversial with the Mr. Yunioshi and all that, but I do still love it. And I think I would probably though put him on. This will be our first black and white that we put in First Date, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. It's lower for sure. No,
Yeah, I would agree as well.
no knock on the filmography, but if I'm looking at that kind of lineup of greats we have, it doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah.
And I'm not too sold on Breakfast at Tiffany's.
All right, our last one. We have Albert Brooks, Defending Your Life, Modern Romance, and The Muse, which I haven't seen The Muse in a long, long time, but I think it's a rom-com. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, Defending Your Life is an all-time fave. I absolutely love that movie. Modern Romance is pretty funny. I feel like he should be engaged.
It's
agree.
Engaged or Lifelong Love for me. It's close.
Yeah.
But I think Engaged feels right. Again, looking at the total spectrum of the thing.
I think we've got our ranking.
I like it.
And I will put a link down if people want to make your own tiers, then you can do that. You can and if you do, then save your picture and share it with us, tag us. That would be really fun. We'd love to hear that. And let us know what you think about our rankings, where we put these different directors. They're, of course, all very talented, and we're grateful for all that they contribute. And thanks so much for doing this with me, Scott and Terry. This was a lot of fun. And I think it hopefully will inspire people to check out some of these directors and their work, especially some of the older ones that you might not have seen. And Scott, where can people find you and find your book and everything going on?
My book is available pretty much anywhere. Anywhere you buy books. It's called From Hollywood with Love: The Rise and Fall and Rise Again of the Romantic Comedy. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter. We're going to call it Twitter, even though I don't post much these days, at Scott Meslow. Most of my writing these days is for GQ and New York Magazine. And I also have a second book coming out way off in February 2026. But if you're a Twin Peaks fan, I'm doing a history of the TV show Twin Peaks. So
nice.
Not exactly a rom-com, but another thing that I love very much. So please keep an eye out for that in the far future.
Yeah. Well, Terry, where can people find you?
At the dumpster fire that is Twitter, at Flurry Heaven.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod, Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. We really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. Let us know if there's other tier rankings you'd like us to do, because we could and it'd be really fun. And check out the Patreon group and merch store. We just sure appreciate it. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.